of officers he's purged. We're going to watch it. We don't know this is nefarious, but they keep changing their story. Let's go ahead and go to the CNN clip.
By directing the State Guard to monitor the operations will allow Texas...
Don't mess with Texas is Republican Governor Greg Abbott's message to the Pentagon. Abbott called out his State Guard to keep an eye on U.S. Special Operations.
His letter said, we respect the military and totally trust the troops themselves, but the federal government, as we know, has been power-grabbing a lot lately, and Texans are concerned, so the state's going to follow its separation of powers. I'm paraphrasing the letter. You can go read it. It's on Infowars.com. And we're going to monitor it and work with them. By the way, the State Guard was already working with them, where the whole thing's based out of by Bastrop and Smithville and Camp Swift, a former largest prisoner of war camp for Germans in World War II. And the State Guards leaked some stuff. Look, I told you a month ago that Greg Abbott's awake and knows what's going on. I told you Chuck Norris was aware of this and concerned. You notice they're in the news. We're going to have some Chuck Norris world news next Tuesday. I'll just leave that as it may, but Chuck Norris is a listener. His son's a listener, accomplished filmmaker. And I was told about some of these things before they were even named 2.5 months ago on a movie shoot in North Texas. And I'm going to leave it at that until next week. But I told you the news was so amazing that I wouldn't even cover it on air, even though I was given authorization to talk about it. My gut was, don't talk about it yet. Wait till all this stuff starts to come out and then let it peak. Because I didn't know the name of Jade Helm then. I just knew this stuff was coming. And believe me, the governor knows stuff the public doesn't know. So this is America starting to wake up. Read the John Warner Defense Authorization Act of 2007, and it says to prepare for insurrection in the states and in the legislatures or governments. They're preparing the military to take over states. Obama 3 years ago said they'd invade Texas with F-16s and run an air blockade if Texas voted to block the TSA, groping genitals. In fact, I forget the exact headline. It was feds to block air travel to Texas if legislature restricts TSA. And you'll get newspapers all over the state. You can't make this stuff up, folks. And then I've got Louis Gohmert with just incredible quotes. He's been on the broadcast before. He, of course, was an Army officer himself. They're now claiming he's anti-military. Louis Gohmert gets why some Texans are worried about a military takeover. National Journal. The Texas congressman is joining others in his state calling for the Pentagon to alter Jade Helm 15 military exercises. And he goes on to say, and he's on the different committees, he's never seen in a drill a state listed as hostile. It's unprecedented, okay? And by the way, they keep saying, well, we've had drills in Texas before. Yeah, out in the desert, tank busting. If they had Apache helicopters practicing to blow up Russian tanks, we would expect that. That's not what this is. Look, we've done it before. Yeah, of course you've done it before. It's not this. U.S. Special Operations Command preparing to launch a month-long multi-state exercise across private and public to prepare Army Special Forces for threats anywhere in the world. That's an accurate statement. Or at least that's what the Pentagon would have you believe. Officials and citizens in Texas, one of the states involved, see something potentially more nefarious in the exercise, dubbed Jade Helm. And now Representative Louis Gohmert is joining them. Over the past few weeks, my office has been inundated with calls referring to Jade Helm 15 military exercise scheduled to take place between July 15th, September 15th. Gohmert said in a statement Tuesday, the military practice has some concern that the U.S. Army is preparing for modern-day martial law. Certainly, I can understand these concerns. He can understand the concerns. Yeah. Because Louis Gohmert knows what comes across his desk. The Pentagon's mission is to take on the Patriots, and no one knows how to broach this because you'll get attacked when you bring it up. So these politicians, these statesmen, like the fact that we've brought it out. I'm going to skip this network break. This is so important. They like the fact that we brought all this out because now it makes it safer for them to talk about it. And now everybody's passing around the hundreds of news articles where with a straight face trying to sell it. See, when we say it's bad, they go, it doesn't exist. But when they go, yeah, thank God the Army's trained to take on Tea Parties and take the guns. And, they, those veterans are going to attack the police departments. Yeah, those horrible veterans. See, they have the nerve to claim we don't like the veterans. When they got them on stinking don't treat list and are training to take them on as the #1 enemy. What do you think the globalists have got planned that's so horrible in this country that they know the veterans are going to come out and fight? It makes me shake to my bones. And not in a fearful way, just in a shocked, bracing way. When I think about what we've put up with and what it must be they've got planned, that they know the veterans are going to stand up, and they're actually teaching every police department in the country to prepare for a war with the vets. Can you imagine the police departments, as able as many of them are, taking on unidentified vets? Once you start going after vets and persecuting them and stuff, man, the gloves are going to come off, and that's the plan. Have the vets devastate the local governments. Just like Al Sharpton said, we're going to use all this to federalize everything. It's a takedown plan by the globalists with their socialist and communist followers to get us at each other's throats, as I've been warning for 6-7 years, and now it's clear that's what they're doing. And I told you this will all kick off as an info war first, where they say we hate the vets, we hate the police, when it's not true. Ahead of staging terror attacks, they're going to blame on us. This is the only play they've got left now, folks. Look at CNN, Pentagon, no Texas takeover, New York Times, LA Times. There was over 400 new articles today. Go to Google, type in Jade Helm, click news, and you'll see it was over 400 this morning in the last 24 hours. 400 articles, TV shows, you name it. Now, I sent you guys, and maybe it's that clip, but the one I sent you was right from the start. You may have trimmed it, where it's us right up front. During the break, I'll bring it to you, or it's right here in my phone so that we can get that clip, because okay, well, the clip I had just started there. We're going to play it here in just a moment. But let's just go back to what Gohmert's saying here. So he says he can understand the concerns of martial law. Yeah, I mean, they're shutting our power plants off outside law and opening the borders up. That is martial law. It's an increment of it. When leaders, quoting the congressman, within the current administration believe that major threats to the country include those who support the Constitution and military veterans, or even clinging to guns or religion, patriotic Americans have reason to be concerned. Everything Gohmert quoted is public there. Bitter clingers, veterans, gun owners, #1 enemy. The congressman took particular issue with the layout of the labels of the Pentagon map of the exercise. Once I observed the map depicting hostile, permissive, and uncertain states and locations, I was rather appalled that the hostile areas amazingly have a Republican majority, cling to their guns and religion, and believe in the sanctity of the United States Constitution. Gohmert called on the Pentagon to change the map, the names on the map, and said the tone of the exercise needs to be completely revamped so the federal government is not intentionally practicing war against its own states. And that's what this is about. Getting the military used to being deployed so they can then give them a new mission that is go after the people, which they admit is going on behind the scenes with smaller groups, to then roll it up and scale it up. But we're taking their attack like weights and making our muscles for freedom stronger. Instead of laying down, we're pushing the weight back, educating people about posse comitatus, educating people about federalism, educating people about the roles of the military and civilian leadership, and pushing back to have a national debate about why are there drills all over the country? Why is this happening? And so many times we go put a camera on it, and they're trying to take on the American people. Here's that CNN clip.
The site InfoWars has led the internet buzz, insisting it's all a plan for the Army to wage war on Americans, publishing a military PowerPoint slide showing Texas as red enemy territory.
I've hardly ever heard of something joint like this unless they're actually planning an invasion.
Republican President...
Back it up. Notice they didn't say that it was admitted to be real. They went with earlier propaganda that it was fake. Remember? the Army Times and stuff said, well, this probably isn't real. We don't trust the... They knew full well it was on Army.mil. Then they said that we said it was secret and that we had something secret that wasn't. Now they revert back to the old lie. See, every 5 seconds is a lie. This is psych warfare written. And when you know how to identify it, it's disgusting that they would prey. That's the word. Feed on the ignorance of the public, implying we made that up. But again, that's almost subliminal. It's just, yeah, they published this map claiming Texas. No, there is no claim, lady. Gosh, you're dishonorable. Just looking at you makes me feel dishonorable. Thank God I'm not you. Let's go back to the clip. I've hardly ever heard of something joint like this unless they're actually planning an invasion.
Republican presidential candidate Senator Ted Cruz says he understands Texans' worries.
I think part of the reason is we have seen for 6 years a federal government disrespecting the liberty of the citizens.
No, I'm not going to play anymore.
And that
good job, guys. Thank you. And then there's the Washington Post, and I don't know, you type in the name Chuck Norris. I saw over 400 articles. Basically, they got to be more careful with Chuck Norris because he's so universally liked across the board that they just quote him. Chuck Norris joins Ted Cruz and others in Operation Jade Helm Conspiracy Watch. But they still use the word conspiracy. And he just goes on to say, listen, we've seen the government do so much bad stuff. It's good to have the state watch things. That's all the governor's doing. I mean, you can just go read the quotes yourself. I'm paraphrasing them. There's a WorldNet Daily article, Jade Helm 15, Crime Stoppers, and KSK. He says, I have an idea. If the government insists on running expanded military ops across 7 Southwest states to the cost of billions, I would add, why doesn't it move all the military training south and protect our borders at the same time? Yeah, that's actually constitutional duty. Whatever Jade Helm 15 actually is, I think it's more than coincidental. The FBI director just confessed in February that the presence of ISIS can be felt in 50 states, and it goes on from there. And then they misrepresent what he says. He goes on to say, trust but verify. Friends, when it comes to freedom, we must question, verify, and vet everyone and everything. As Thomas Jefferson told his nephew, Peter, in 1787, question with boldness even the existence of a God, because if there is be one, he must more approve the homage of reason than that of a blindfolded fear. We must never check our brains or blindly trust, especially the government. Rather, we must fight until our dying breath for liberty, especially when it appears those in power are trying to knock down old glory. Yeah, Obama care, open borders, outside of law, fast and furious, Benghazi. I mean, we'd be crazy. And he goes on to quote Benjamin Franklin in here as well. I'm going to find that and come back and cover that. Briefly, you fund this operation with your purchases. We won't be here if you don't support us. You are supporting us, so we're getting reporters. We're sending them around. We're breaking news. We're having an effect. There's nowhere where your support, which scares the daylights out of me. Man, I'm really asking for it. Just, God, please protect me and my family. Because I can tell you, folks, we're on the front line going up against the enemy. And we're going 110%. It's the only way to beat these people. But we need you to buy the products. The Super Male Vitality, the Super Female, after almost 3 months being out, is back. It's a great gift for Mother's Day. You can just drop ship it to mom's house or your wife or whatever. And it's just InfoWarsLife.com, InfoWarsStore.com, or 888-253-3139.